Welcome, welcome. And what a difference a month makes. Just when we came out of June, last week, we had the Mets dead and buried, done for the season, trading away all the players, resetting, redoing everything in the franchise. It was over. We were done. Then the month goes from June to July. And back from the dead. The Mets are undefeated in July, 5-0. Last month, they couldn't pitch. They couldn't hit. There was nothing could go right. Their all-stars were terrible. Their players were garbage. Nobody was coming through. Then the month turned to July. San Francisco comes in. They win 2 out of 3. That was their first series they won in such a long time. Then Arizona, the first place Arizona Diamondbacks are the next opponent, and they sweep the next opponent. Senga goes 8 innings. Carrasco last night goes another 8 innings. And just like that, the Mets have won 5 games in a row. And just like that, the Mets leapfrog 3 teams in the wild card standings. And just like that, they just trail San Francisco and Milwaukee, 2 teams that they recently played, 2 teams who have major flaws, are the only 2 teams ahead of them in the wild card standings. Just like that, the Mets are back in business, back from the dead, and look like they have life. Last week, they were lifeless. This week, they have a pulse, they have heart, and folks, we have a season right now. We have a season. If Carrasco is going to be pitching 8 innings like that, if Senga is going to be dominating like this, if Alvarez, Francisco Lindor are going to be carrying the offense, we have a season. Very good stuff. We're going to get into the game. But first, as always, if you could like and subscribe, support our channel like you've been doing, I cannot thank you enough. I really can. Looks like we're going to have a lot of fun to go over this season. We have a lot of exciting things to cover. The trade deadline is going to be a lot more interesting right now. A lot more interesting. Okay, so let's get into the game. And just as the clock rolled in and the Mets took the field, they were versing a pitcher by the name of Ryan Nelson. And I gotta tell you this, and I made notes last night, I have not seen a pitcher in probably the last year where the Mets hit harder. I actually have notes here, and I'm like, this guy must be tipping his pitches. Every single swing was a huge hack. You don't take swings against pitchers like this in the major league. Our hitters weren't off balance. Even Vogelbach got into the business and he got a double. McNeil got a double. I mean, guys who have been slumping for ages were doing good last night. And I mean, after the 3rd inning, it was all she wrote. The Mets scored 5 runs in that inning, and we're going to go over the details. But the game was won. Carrasco had his support. And that's the thing. Even though we were up 7-0 in the 3rd inning, in the past, last month, if it was last month, the D-backs would find a way to come back. But the Mets are shutting the door. Shutting the door. All right, so let's start off the game. And let's go to the top of the 1st inning. And that is when the tone was set. First 2 outs, easy out. It started off 1 out, 2 outs. Lindor was up with 2 outs, and this is essentially when the ball game started. Lindor ripped a triple down the first base line into the corner, right field corner. Lindor made his way around the bases with his first triple of the day, and that would really be a sign for how the day would go for the D-back. It would get much, much worse. Okay, so Lindor is on third base, Pete comes up to the bat, and I find it so ironic that the commentators were saying how Pete was taking his pitches and he was lunging at the pitch, and they were saying how off he was, how bad he looked just taking pitches. Next pitch comes, Pete lines a rocket over the left field fence. I'm telling you, and they were saying how hard he hit it. Usually most major leaguers would end up with a double, but Pete was so strong that he's able to line it for a home run, and that ball got out of there in a second, probably like 3 seconds. It just got out of the ballpark so fast, and Pete just looked so good on that swing, and that started off the game 2-0, and that would be a sign of things to come because we displayed massive power in this game. And also, we out-hit the D-backs 17-4. 17-4. Ridiculous. All right. So another sign of things to come, the Mets are horrible at scoring runs in the first inning. So talk about things changing. That already right there just showed you that the Mets scoring 2 runs in the first inning is another good sign of things to come. So in the bottom of the first inning, I'm hoping Carrasco could shut the door. First at bat, Perdomo walks, and I'm like, oh no, the Mets just scored 2 runs, and you walk the leadoff man. You cannot walk the leadoff man. You have to close the door. Luckily, after that, it was a pop-up behind the plate, if you remember, to Alvarez, and Alvarez just made an amazing athletic play, running back behind the plate, sticking his glove out into the crowd and catching the ball, making 1 out. And I think that is all Carrasco needed to get the game going. Next at bat, Carroll popped up to left field, and Perdomo was picked off. So that was it. Basically 1, 2, 3. Walker was left holding a bat in his hand, and that was all she wrote. Let's fast forward to the third inning, and the third inning was, I would say, the best inning of our year, in my opinion. That was the best inning that I've seen, and that is what we're going to stick with right now. So it started off like this, and again, we started off with another out. Tommy Pham led off the inning. He hits a ball to second base. He hits the ball hard, but nonetheless, it was an out. So Lindor comes up again with 1 out, and this is a thing of beauty. And this is what I always talk about. If you hit the ball level and you stay flat, you're going to do good things. It's when you have an uppercut like Jeff McNeil's been having is when you're going to run into a lot of trouble. So McNeil, he's batting lefty. He stays level. He drives the ball into the left center field gap. So he drives the ball the opposite way, splits the fielders, and it was off to the races. Again, Lindor got another triple, 2 for 2 with 2 triples. And that, again, started off another huge rally. So Pete comes up. He rips a ball through the left side. That was his 3rd RBI of the game thus far, and the Mets were winning already 3-0. Vogelbach comes up, and this is what I'm like, okay, things are going good. Vogelbach comes up, and he rips a double. It's already 4-0. And I have here, they were just smoking the ball off Nelson, smoking the ball. I was surprised that after Vogelbach hit the ball that he was still left in the game, Nelson. All right, so Marte is next at bat. He pops the ball up to right field. McNeil comes up, and they were saying on the broadcast, let's see if McNeil can join the hit parade. And I was like, no, he's not going to get a hit. But he actually got a hit. He actually got a double. And it was a nice piece of hitting, a really nice piece of hitting. All right, so he's on second base. Francisco Alvarez comes up to the plate, and again, he smokes a 2-run bomb, makes it 7-0. 7-0. Mets were leading, and like I said, that was all she wrote. Mets would add on 2 runs, tack 1 on in the 5th, tack another 1 on in the 6th, and they would go on to win 9-0. And I have to give all the credit in the world to to Carlos Carrasco, and I was trying to find who would be our player of the game. It was between two players. Carlos Carrasco, he went 8 innings, surrendered only 3 hits and 4 strikeouts. But normally he would be our player of the game. But this was the 3rd game, and we completely demoralized the Arizona Diamondbacks, especially by us jumping out to a 7-0 lead. And I don't want to take any credit away from Cookie, but there is another guy who I believe sparked this team win, and I would deem him the player of the game. But Cookie Carrasco, 8 innings, 3 hits. They were saying, I was reading this, we haven't had 2 pitchers go 8 innings since, I believe, 2015 when Bartolo Colon, and I forgot the second pitcher, but it's been that long since we've had 2 guys go 8 innings in a row. That's how long it's been. So, great job for the pitching staff. If we keep on like this, when we have Justin, we haven't even had our top guys go. So, looking good. So, the top player of the game that we have for today, and I have to give it to none other than Francisco Lindor. Going 5 for 5 is extremely rare, extremely hard to do. He did homer late in the game. He did have 5 hits, like I mentioned. He was 1 hit shy of the cycle. I'm sure maybe he kind of regretted going for 2 triples, but who knows? He had a monster game, and I got to say this about Francisco. Francisco said on the postgame that he was feeling like a dog. He was feeling terrible the day before. He had IVs in his arm, and they're asking him, like, how the heck were you able to go? Like, you were feeling like crap. And, he thanked God, and he thanked the medical and the training staff for getting him up to par. But I got to say this. When I used to play ball, my best game by far was when I was so sick. I was sick as a dog, like Lindor said he was. And I remember I hit, I think I was 4 for 4, 3 home runs. It was the best game I've ever had in my life. And I was so sick. And I think the thing that really helps when you're really sick is you don't think. All you do is feel crappy, so you go up to the plate, and all these things that are normally running through your head are not. And that's what I think what Francisco's issue is. Normally, he's thinking about 10 million things like, oh, I got to drive this runner in. Oh, I can't strike out another time. Oh, the fans are counting on me. I don't want them to boo me. So that is the problem. He was thinking too much. He's always been thinking too much. And you see the swing. You see the guy has the talent. If he's able to do this, not many guys are able to do this. Not many guys can play Gold Glove of shortstop. Not many guys can pop 30 home runs as a shortstop category. I know his average is a little low, but if you notice last year, it happened the same way. He started off half the year with a subpar average, and then he bumped it up to his career 270-something average. So let's stick with him. He's one of the better shortstops in the league. He's our number 3 hitter, and he's doing well now. So let's see what happens. He carried the team yesterday, and that is why he's going to be our player of the game. Plus, guys look up to him. He's the guy with the big contract. He's the guy Alvarez, the new guys come up and they look up to. So he's got to be a leader. Last night he was a leader. Last night he was our player of the game. Comment on that. Who would be your player of the game? Would it be Alvarez? Would it be Marte? Would it be Carrasco? Who would it be? Is it somebody else I'm not thinking of? Would it be Jeff McNeil? So let me know. Drop a comment. Drop a like. Subscribe. Thank you so much for sticking with us. It was a great game. We're on a 5-game winning streak. July has started off amazing. And like I said, the Mets are back from the dead. They are not there yet. They have still a lot of issues to solve. But as far as July goes, we have done great. We are going on the right track. We are trending in an upward direction. And that is essentially all we can ask for right now. It's one game at a time, one play at a time, and they are breaking it down perfectly. They are coming back. They are sticking together as a team. They are hitting. They are pitching. They are playing defense. They are doing all the things they need to do as a winning team. So thank you so much for sticking with us. I've been saying this for the last month, 2 months. It can't get any worse, but it probably will. It hasn't been so far. 5-game win streak. I'm so happy. Let's go Mets, and I will speak to you soon.